Welcome to the Project, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And this week we read the Sci-Fi historical comic book, The Manhattan Project.
Yes, alternate history.
Alternate history is what I was looking for there.
Yeah.
Not massively... Not accurate at all in many ways.
No, I mean, it's got some central characters.
Some key figures from
Oppenheimer.
History. Yeah, Oppenheimer.
Throws in people like Einstein and Roosevelt and Truman.
I mean, quite a few of those you've mentioned are probably tying into the reason that we're doing this book, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
And that's because of the upcoming release of Nolan's Oppenheimer.
Yeah, so Manhattan Project, Oppenheimer month. We're just watching everything that we've got, or not everything, a lot of the stuff we've got with Manhattan Project in the title, in the build up to Oppenheimer. So we did The King of Queens, which didn't have much relation. We did the 1986 film, The Manhattan Project, and we did an episode of Ugly Betty called The Manhattan Project.
Yeah, none of them massively related, were they?
No, I mean, from the Manhattan Project film, we learned some stuff about nuclear bombs, but we've been keeping track of what we've learned.
Yeah, we'll do a little recap at the end of this, and I feel like we'll have a bit more at least. Although it's kind of hard to judge fact from fiction in some senses, isn't it? There?
Yeah, when you don't know like the true story, this makes it a bit.
It'll
harder.
be more a case of coming back to this and going, no, that bit was wrong. The evil twin part, that was probably wrong, wasn't it? Yeah.
The AI FDR maybe not accurate. But it's
we've got it's also the first comic book that we've done in this format anyway. I don't know if we've ever done one in any other way.
No, we haven't.
We've done book reports before, haven't we? That's what I was thinking of. So we're playing with the format. We'll see how that goes, but it's nice to do something a bit different.
Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning up front as well, is that although we're building up to Oppenheimer, we are having a break from that next week because it's our 100th episode. We've made it to triple digits.
Yes, we have somehow, and we'll be doing something different, but something not too different for the 50th episode. So if you're a fan of that, then you'll know what's coming up there.
We won't reveal too much now, but don't expect more Oppenheimer related stuff next week. We'll be back with that the week after.
There might be some little hints and bits in the last part of that.
Maybe.
But if you want to skip straight to our coverage of the Manhattan Project, please use the time codes in the episode description, please. And you'll be able to skip straight ahead to there. But before that, how are you today, Lewis?
Yeah, good. It was my first day back at work today after spending the week in the Scottish Highlands, which was, that was a great week. It's a bit sad being back to normality now after just, the landscape around here is so boring in comparison.
It's so flat.
It's so flat. It's like, but yeah.
You need to get in the sea and appreciate that part of it. And
there was a lock up there as well.
Okay.
I think it was the world's highest beach.
Really?
The UK's the UK's highest beach.
Yeah,
which had a shit ton of ducks on it, weirdly enough, which are stealing everyone's food. But it's a lovely week in Scotland with friends of the pod, Kane and David, plus Kane's partner.
Yeah.
But now I'm back at work, so I'm a bit like, ugh. And obviously after a week off, and I'd had 3 days off the week before, shit ton to do.
Busy week for you then.
Yeah, and I've now got like 6 days left off for the rest of the year, so it was like great. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, nothing nearly as exciting to report. I did have some time off because at one point I was planning on coming with you to that. Just sitting at home, looking at the photos, going, "Oh yeah, that looks lovely." Yeah. But I didn't get up to masses. I had a bit of a busy weekend, but nothing crazy to report. But I'm just. Honestly, it feels like a long time since we've done a podcast. So
it has been a while.
Just happy to be back in the studio because it's one of those that needs two locks to open, like maybe like a nuclear device. I don't know about that. We'll see. It's
been getting a bit dusty in here.
Yeah, it's the right state in here. Yeah, all that nuclear material all over the place.
Yeah, the snakes have somehow survived still in the corner.
They've mutated.
Yeah, we must have left them enough food, and no, they've growing legs.
Yeah. They're lizards now, I guess.
Yeah, they're going to be Godzilla before we know it.
But nothing apart from the radioactive snakes to report there. But speaking of radioactive snakes, what's that first segment, Liz?
Wow, great lead in. Project news.
Yes.
So, as always, I've Googled the word project and seen which bits of news take my fancy. But before I go into those articles, I've got some other project news that doesn't have an article related, which is friend of the pod, Emelle from Project Icon, has put her first single up on Spotify.
Wow.
Last week, obviously, with our timings is first time, but Collateral Damage, which she did sing a couple of times, and I think was the one that Okeem,
I think that's right,
covered.
Sounds familiar.
She stuck it up on Spotify. I had a bit of a listen to it on the way here, and it's as expected. You know, she's a great vocalist, and it's a fun song. So
cool.
Hopefully that gets some attention, and
check it out.
She'll have some more stuff added on soon. But yeah, I think it makes sense for her to lead with that song, considering that seems to be a big one for her. The fact she used it on the show.
Cool.
But
no, I'll check it out. Yeah.
Yes, that's my
Thank you
side
for
bit
spreading
news.
the good word there.
Yeah, my first bit of project news comes from Fandom Wire, and it's just a bit of a fun story. It's not even relevant news, which is he invited himself into the project. Tom Hanks was desperate to join Steven Spielberg's $252 million movie that risked Leonardo DiCaprio's scenes in the film. Sounds very dramatic.
It does.
But it's about Catch Me If You Can. Have you seen Catch Me If You Can?
I've seen. It's one of those that I've seen on TV about 4 times and seen different parts.
Right. It's very good.
I've heard good things. Yeah.
But yeah, apparently the story, I'll summarize the story that Tom Hanks read like some of the script and basically called up Steven Spielberg and was like, "Can I play the FBI agent, please?" And it was like, instead of auditioning, he was like, "Please, can I play it?"
Yeah, I think I've seen that bit. I remember something about
he's in it a lot.
Yeah.
But he also called the producer, was like, "Please, can I be in this film?" But before he was in it, he also called up Leonardo DiCaprio and was like, "Hey, do you mind if I play the FBI agent in this film?" Like, he was like, "I know it's like your film and like you're the main character in the star, and I don't want to like take away from that."
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg said that Leonardo DiCaprio was like starstruck and was like, "Yeah, of course you can be in the film." And I was like, "That was just a fun, cute little story." And I was like, "That's nice," and it's a great film, and both Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks are great in it.
Yeah, I've actually listened to 1 or 2 podcasts about the real story behind that, and it's a real interesting scam artist kind of situation.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the guy is called.
Frank Abagnale.
Frank Abagnale. That's it. I was gonna say John.
There's a lot of it as well, which is like, I think people have kind of proven that most of the stuff he spoke about doing is bullshit.
Yeah.
But then like conning everyone to think he did do that is kind of a con in itself.
Yeah.
Like, and he's still like famous and works for the FBI and stuff. So
he seems like a clever guy either way.
Yeah. But it's a good film. It's fun. It's just a fun little story. I think Tom Hanks like asking Leonardo DiCaprio's permission is quite cute. But yeah, the other bit of project news I've got, which is it's a Guardian review, and I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts. Maybe not about that, but in general. But it is Taylor Swift, Speak Now, Taylor's version review, re-recording project, starting to feel wearying and pointless. So I don't know if you saw, but obviously this week, Taylor Swift released her 3rd re-recorded album of the first 6 that she's planning on doing.
Yes.
I listened to it and I was like, yeah, it's fine.
Because I've never actually, I'm aware, the situation. It was Scooter Braun or whatever, the guy, the producer, manager, whoever, who owned the masters, and then he didn't offer to sell them to her, and someone bought whatever it was. I understand that part, but I've never, intentionally anyway, listened to 2 different versions to see are they updated, or are they as close to the originals as possible?
So it's kind of a mix. Like, it's obviously the fact that I re-recorded, and she's like 10 years older now. Her vocals have changed a bit and they sound a bit different. One thing this review talks about is how like part of what makes those albums is like the fact she's got a youngish voice and singing about that, and it sounds
because it's of the time of her life.
She's changed some lyrics as well, particularly ones that maybe not aligning with her public persona as much anymore.
Okay.
There was a famous one from, I think, the second album where she called something gay and then re-recorded that because obviously she'd grown up and changed it. And I never really, because I'm like, they sound. I'm not. I like Taylor Swift, but I'm not a massive fan. So I'm like, I don't really.
I think a lot of
know
it
too
is
much.
so that a lot of it is so that when it's listened to, the money goes to the right place as well, right?
Yeah, see,
And I get that, but also, how much more money does Taylor Swift need?
right.
Like, I don't know her. I could look up her net worth, but I don't know her personal.
Yeah. See, this is what I was going to ask you, because I was like, there's two sides of this. There's the one side in which, the rights to her first 6 albums were sold off, Scooter
Yeah.
Braun stuff, and she didn't have the rights to that, and she wants to re-record them so that they belong to her, and it's all hers. And it's like, yeah, I get that. On the other side, it is, let's milk these fans for as much money as we can get from
Well,
them.
especially when she's being, at least from that headline, quite transparently like, I'm not that fussed about doing this, at least creatively. Then it's like,
Yeah.
the only reason you're doing it is either to prove a point, which I can kind of get behind that side of it. But if it's for the kind of purely for the ownership / monetary gain, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is this? The third out of 6?
This
Is
is the
it?
third
Yeah,
out of 6.
yeah. I didn't know she even had that many albums. So
She's got like 10 albums now, I
she
think.
must have a load more after that. Yeah.
Yeah, but like she hasn't done her debut album yet, probably because she's like 16 or something when she's done that.
Right.
And then, but like the other two are 1989,
Yeah.
and I think maybe Red.
Yeah.
But it's like,
yeah.
But like those two are still kind of feel fairly recent, so like re-recording them like anytime soon will be really weird. Because like in my head, I'm like, this album only came out like a few years ago, like, and we kind of get into that point where, because she's put out these 3 albums she's re-recorded in the last like 3 years.
That's it. And she's had 3 albums out in that 3 years as well, from the looks of things. So,
which is, I mean, credit to her for having such great work ethic. But it is kind of getting to the point.
Red is one of the re-recorded ones, yeah. So it was Fearless, Red, and Speak Now. She did,
yeah, and
1989. Reputation, maybe.
Reputation, yeah, that's
she
the
hasn't
other
done
one.
that yet. No,
but yeah, it's just kind of like, I mean, like if I was to go back and listen through her entire discography, I'd probably listen to the originals, because like that was the actual one that was released at the time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't think I quite know enough about it, but yeah, especially her being kind of, her saying that in an article makes me think, well, okay, if you're going to complain about it, don't bother.
Yeah, well,
in the nicest possible way.
I think this was.
So it was editorializing, saying, right, I thought it was her.
No, it's not her saying
okay, that changed. I thought she was saying, oh, I'm a bit tired of doing these now. And I'm like,
no,
you can't do that, Taylor. Come on.
I think she's not.
Right, okay, I did misunderstand that. Yeah, okay, well, she likes doing it, and she's happy to.
Yeah.
I think if she's making changes to it, I think it's worth doing. If it's the kind of the composition of the tracks and stuff, like adding different, if they sound quite different, go for it. And if you're allowed to make creative changes and like remaster it kind of thing, go for it.
You do get remastered albums, but they're not re-recorded. They also get from the vault songs as well. So you've got songs that so there's one
on these, is it?
Yeah, she's got one of this that she did with Fall Out Boy, which didn't make the cut on the original album, but she's put out now. I think she re-recorded her stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, it's like a B-side as well. Yeah, it's quite, and like it made me think of like, do you think like other artists will like start doing this as well? Like, obviously Taylor Swift is like the biggest pop star in the world, so if anyone can manage it, it's her.
There was something recently that I saw an article, I think it was Rina Sawayama, who we saw in John Wick Chapter 4 recently.
Yeah,
obviously a pop star in her own right as well. She was, I think it was at Glastonbury on stage, she was like, there's some white man that own my masters and I'm not happy with it.
Yeah.
And I think it turned out it was 1975 is what people speculated, because they own, or they're like have, or at least Matt Healy has like big shares in the record label.
Right.
And it was, people were going like, it's a similar situation to the Taylor Swift thing. But then other people were like, no, she was offered to buy her masters and she didn't buy them. So I don't know. But if that was a similar thing, would she want to go back and re-record them if they're not quite as kind of iconic and they're not going to get. It needs to be worthwhile for you as a musician.
That's the thing,
doesn't
like I like Taylor Swift as well, but like she could put anything out and get millions of people listening to them. So like, if Rina Sawayama re-released her debut album, would it get the same re-listenership as Taylor Swift's got?
Yeah,
and it's also like, I was thinking of like, they wouldn't do it, but I don't know, say current Arctic Monkeys re-recorded their debut album.
Is that one of the least likely ones to ever do that?
Yeah, but also like it would.
But
sound,
I would fucking listen to that.
Yeah, but it sounds so different. It would kind of be like, it'd go from like,
but it would be
some Sheffield lads to some swooner guy.
But it would be interesting to see, because I feel like with that they would do a different version, just because, like you say, who they are now.
Yeah,
and especially you see them, or specifically Alex Turner, performing those old songs, and he's doing them in a different way.
Yeah,
every single night from the looks of things. As well.
Like it may not be a reclaiming thing, or it may just become artists are interested to see what it'd sound like if they re-recorded it.
I don't know, because I think only if they've got a good reason to, because I think most of them probably see it as like an encapsulation of them at that period.
Yeah,
a bit like you say about the debut album.
See, and then that, I think that's then what can also be a criticism of these Taylor Swift re-released albums. It's like, okay, they may change some of the lyrics and remaster some of them, but like this album was released in 2010, and it shouldn't sound like it came out in 2022 because it was the 2010 album.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people as well do little like memes and stuff of being like a Swiftie or whatever, and being like, hey, make sure that, like, to a DJ or whatever, like criticize, like jokingly criticizing them for playing not the Taylor's version of it and stuff. But it's a joke. But then there's also armies of people online who, you know, if the wrong one was used in an ad campaign or something, you know, maybe not that, but would potentially actually get behind that. And so I think her having this kind of, like you say, quite strong following, you could say, definitely plays into the decision.
This article mentioned as well, like if it's like some of the lyric change as well, because they're kind of outdated views or stuff. The article mentioned Paramore when they stopped playing Misery Business for like 5 years, but then they started playing it again.
She just changed the words, didn't she?
Yeah, and the article kind of makes a difference of like that whole "she's a whore, nothing more" like does kind of encapsulate that like 2008 view on those kind of things. Like it may be outdated, and it's like, well, yeah, it was 15 years ago. Like,
but that's the difference. It's performing that version and spending the time and money, and then diverting from the original one if you're re-releasing it.
Yeah,
like there's no reason for Paramore to necessarily go and fully re-record that album.
No,
for that. If the whole album was but then you'd also, if the whole album was problematic, you'd just throw the whole thing away, wouldn't you? It's a tricky one, but I can't see, unless they're in the very unique situation that Taylor Swift's in, which actually, I say that, is probably not a very unique situation.
No, because I think Kesha had a similar thing as well.
That was with Dr. Luke, I think.
Dr. Luke, who's kind of abusive and horrible.
Well, it seems the same and worse, actually.
Yeah, so like she could be like, actually, I'm going to re-record that TikTok album again.
I feel like some contracts would have it in the contract to stop things like that, especially now after.
I think it's kind of weird that Taylor Swift is allowed to do this. Like
maybe that's why she has to make changes as well. Like inherently, it has to be
different enough.
There must be.
Surely, it kind of works as like a cover version,
but it might be because the masters and the kind of copyright are different things. I think that might be it. So she's still, because otherwise she couldn't perform it necessarily. I mean, I'm sure she's cleared it with her lawyers.
I mean, this is like the third one, so I think we know about
of all the profits. Then suddenly go back to Scooter.
Yeah, I bet Scooter's probably fucking hating that she's doing this. He's probably sitting home like,
I mean, but also, you know, the vast majority of people are still going to listen to the first one that pops up, and at this point, that's going to be the original for most things.
Is it? Do you reckon?
I have no idea. I'm just assuming. So I mean, if you do the new one, if you do Red, if you do Taylor Swift Red,
I'm just gonna search on Spotify now
and just see what comes up.
Taylor Swift Red. Taylor Swift Red.
It depends on the algorithm.
The top one is Taylor's version. The second is deluxe version, and then it's the song.
Yeah.
That's what I've got anyway.
I mean, maybe even from specific Hang on, I'm trying to just scroll through.
What was
here.
the other album she re-recorded?
What, the one before? Fearless.
Fearless, of course.
It might be.
And Fearless, yeah, it comes up Taylor's version first for me there as well.
Does
and
it?
then
Yeah.
and then it's the deluxe version. So yeah, I think
They're
because
fucking long, these versions. There's 30 tracks on the Red Taylor's version.
Yeah, 'cause
Jesus
she added, like, what,
Christ.
it's essentially a deluxe version, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
I
like
mean, fair enough, but whew.
yeah, so like,
it's 2 hours long. It's 130 minutes. Jesus Christ. I guess that's a real treat if you're a big fan of her, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she's still obviously got the. I think that would be the next step for her, is removing the originals from things like Spotify.
Yeah,
if she can.
but I
I
yeah,
don't know if she.
I imagine she can't, because otherwise it would.
She would have done it already.
She wouldn't call them Taylor's version. She would just replace it with
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, that's Taylor Swift. I had a feeling for some reason that would be a conversation point.
To be fair, we haven't recorded or spoken to each other in like a week and a half. So this is getting a bit of conversation out there.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
But yeah, let's go into the main topic, which is the Manhattan Projects. From 2012,
yes,
ran until 2015.
Yeah, and then they did a revamp of it.
Yeah, in 2015, but only had one volume.
Yeah,
so the first,
The Sun Beyond the Stars was the subtitle for that.
The first 5 are all the Manhattan Projects, and we're doing the first one, which is Science Bad.
Yeah,
and then the 6th volume is There's Something Beyond the Stars.
The Sun Beyond, and it is a subtitle on the actual thing as well.
Yeah, but then that was the final volume of the series.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure why it ended, but it might have just dropped off.
Yeah,
I don't think the story ended, kind of thing. I think
I think the fact that they revamped it and then only did one kind of implies that they were thinking about doing more. Otherwise, they would have just kept it with Manhattan Projects.
I keep scrolling through this Wikipedia article, and like you get to a bit, and it's just like a spoiler, and I'm like, most of it's just a historical name, and I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, when I was looking this up, I was looking on Wikipedia, and it come up like people's names, and I was saying, in case you haven't seen them, I was just like, I guess that person's gonna turn up at some point.
I was saying to Lewis just before recording that when you first go on the Wikipedia page, the first character name is slightly different to what I was expecting it to be, and that's something that comes up very early. It's in the first issue. I won't say it right up here up front, but we're just talking about it generally, aren't we? This is spoilers for this first volume for anyone who's listening, but it says the first character is Joseph Oppenheimer, and I was like, have they changed his first name? And then you start reading through.
See, I kind of double tracked myself there,
right? Okay,
because like in my head, I'm like, let me just get it.
You're gonna go back to where?
Yeah. See, his name is J. Robert Oppenheimer. So I kind of in my head I was like, yeah, he's J. Robert Oppenheimer. So when I saw Joseph, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna believe it. His first name's actually Julius.
Yes, I can see that.
But when I just saw Joseph, I was like, okay, I guess they're just using the J.
Yeah,
but
they don't even mention the J.
No, it's just Robert.
Apart from Joseph.
So before we go into it, we'll do some of the background. So this is the first of 6 volumes called Science Bad.
Yes.
Which I didn't really think about until this was sitting like face down. And then I was like, if somebody looked over my shoulder and saw that, I'd think
like an anti-vaxxer or something.
Yeah. But published by Image Comics,
yes,
who have done all sorts. They're one of the bigger ones aside from like Marvel and DC.
If you look up on that shelf, Lewis, you can see most of those up there. Image Comics.
Yeah, like
they're more interesting to buy personally. Really, I like. We both like the Marvel and the DC, but
they are. You know what you're getting with them.
They
Image tend to have more quirky, and different ideas.
It's a short run like this where you can buy 6, and I'm like, if I start buying it, I can get to 6. If if you buy Batman #1, they're going to run that to number 100 and then start again. And it's like,
So I won't go through what Image Comics has done. They're huge. This was created by Jonathan Hickman.
Yes.
Well-known writer. aside from this, some of the Image stuff he's done is the Nightly News and East of West.
I have East of West on my list to read, and I meant to read, and I was going to read something else by him before we talked about it, but I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, well, he's also done loads of work for Marvel.
Fantastic Four is
Fantastic
one that keeps
Four.
going. Actually, I have read one, but you keep going. I'll tell you.
Yeah, he's done loads of Fantastic Four stuff. He's done the Avengers. He did the New Avengers.
Yep.
And two of his most notable storylines he did for Marvel was Infinity and Secret Wars.
I've read quite a bit of that Secret Wars miniseries, which is the second Secret Wars, which is the Ultimate Universe meets the other one, and Doom is like God Emperor Doom, and it ends up with them all get amalgamated, and Mars is in the main universe.
There you go. Yeah. I've read Infinity, so
okay, cool.
There we go. It's. I mean, it's what the Infinity War and stuff is taking a lot from. Obviously, it's quite different, but yeah. So he's a big name in the comic world.
He did the Dawn of X and House of X and all that sort of thing, which was, I think we spoke about it on pod. It was when Charles Xavier has the big Cerebro thing on his head. He looks like a bit of a geek, to be honest. It's a fun little thing, but it's just the new X-Men stuff now, and it's kind of, as with a lot of X-Men stuff, it gets very overcomplicated. There's hints in the ending of this volume, this thing that felt very X-Men to me when the world kind of opens up.
Right.
We'll talk about in a little bit.
So that's Jonathan Hickman. The artist is Nick Pitara.
Yes.
Who's done a lot of work with Jonathan Hickman. He did Jonathan Hickman's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. run.
Oh, cool, yeah.
He hasn't done loads of stuff. He's done a load of covers for Marvel. He did a couple of covers for the Secret Wars run as well.
Right, okay, yeah.
But actual, like, page-to-page
I've read
artwork, he hasn't done loads.
Leviathan, I think, was one of his first things. It's kind of a kaiju little mini-series thing, and it's got this artwork, but, like, his early version, it's very kind of, very detailed, kind of ugly looking, I want to say.
Yeah, so we might as well talk about it now. I wasn't a fan of the art in this at all. Like it's that, and like I looked up, and like a lot of his style.
Yeah, you showed me the Batman image. Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of simple stuff, and it's that like certain artists have that overly detailed look to it, where like every wrinkle and every hair is drawn, and it just kind of looks a bit gross. And like it works.
It's
to an
like
extent.
caricature-y, isn't it? Almost.
Yeah, and it works to an extent with things like this, because this comic's meant to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable and stuff. But then when I was like, oh no, like it's a bit.
I think that what it really works for, and you can
like,
see it.
I've got it here, like that picture of General Groves there. His face is just like, why so much?
In that first, if you go back a few pages, some of the big splash pages when there's big attacks and stuff, I think it works quite well for that, because it looks a bit more like kind of detailed, almost like a Where's Wally kind of thing. Yeah, there's a couple of nice big splash pages, but yeah. Design wise, like, I mean, we could talk about it now actually, because I read an interview with him, and he was talking about let's see, I've got it here somewhere.
Got another great picture of General Groves here.
Yeah. You hate that guy, don't you? I don't know where I put it, but he was talking about basically having all the characters in it, because they're all like 40-year-old men in suits, having them all look really distinctive. So he did them all as like silhouettes, and then tried to figure out like who's got a big nose, who's got hair sticking up this. So they've all got quite distinctive character, almost like a kind of, I'm thinking of gorillas for some reason, but like if you see the gorillas, the band, if you see them as outlines, it's like, okay, the four members of the band. Yeah, I feel like it's a similar kind of thing. It's the detailing and stuff that just I know what you mean. It's not.
I did quite like, so early on where you kind of get this some of the backstory from two different people's point of view.
The red and the blue.
Like it's got one character
and
story told in red. And they use
that with the Einstein thing later as well. That's in a different way.
Yeah, you kind of see glimpses of like the red and the blue like coming up like later
the Oppenheimer
on.
Stuff, yeah.
And that works really well. I really like that.
I think
effect.
The use of colour is nice. It's the over detailing. Which is a real what is the I can't see the bit that I've got here, but I saw him compared to Frank Quietly. I don't know if you got your phone there, Lewis, if you can look up Frank Quietly.
What if I do it loudly?
who's another artist who's really, really popular, but I don't really like. And he did a lot of the X-Men stuff in the early 2000s, and it's this same kind of ugly kind of caricature thing. He did a lot of like the Jupiter Ascending and stuff like that. He's got a very famous Superman look, which sometimes looks good. Sometimes you've probably seen the image of Superman where he's Clark Kent and he's really hunched over and he looks a bit ridiculous. And it's like him doing the body language thing.
Yeah.
It's a similar kind of, it's just a bit funny looking.
Yeah, like, and you know, I get it's a stylistic thing.
Yeah.
It's just not my
It's not for
taste.
you. No, fair. Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. Like, I normally won't buy hard copies of stuff unless I really like both the story and the art. But because it's had projects in it, I was like, I'm just gonna buy it straight up with a load of other stuff. And I probably will go and buy the next few of these. I don't know if I'll go the whole way through and see how it goes. But no, yeah, I feel like it definitely has a look. It's
got this, and I think it works better for things like this than, say, Nick Potaro doing other stuff, because this is meant to be kind of creepy and unnerving.
Yeah,
it does kind of fit with this, but it still just made me be like, oh, it's a bit distracting.
I think I warmed up to it like about 2 issues in.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't say I warmed up to it. I got used to it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like overall, like you say about the kind of weird uncomfortableness, the tone of this going through is kind of hard to track, because it's quite dark. From the start, we get some quite dark backstories and stuff, but it's mixed with like real not hard sci-fi, like high fantasy sci-fi almost at times. But it's kind of funny and weird at the same time.
Yeah, it is funny, like, and it's meant to be
like
kind
darkly
of dark
comic,
humor, kind of.
Yeah.
And like it does work like that. And I did thoroughly enjoy reading this. I read it all in one sitting. Cool, I was just like, yeah, nice. But yeah, it is that kind of dark humor and kind of the twisted alternate history.
Yes,
does really work in this. And like, credit to Jonathan Hickman, he's a great storyteller, and he's obviously grabbed this idea and really like explored what he could do with it, and it works.
I've just realized we never actually did a little summary of what it's about. I've got the summary that's in the book. Have you got one?
I've got what Wikipedia says. Which is the premise is an alternate history near the end of World War II, in which the Manhattan Project was a front for other, more esoteric science fiction ideas.
Yeah, fair enough. The one from the book that I think is in the front of, at least in the volumes I was reading, says, what if the research and development department created to produce the first atomic bomb was a front for a series of other, more unusual programs? What if the union of the generation's brightest minds was not a signal for optimism but foreboding? What if everything went wrong? It's like, I feel like that's a very broad.
Yeah,
it's intentionally a little bit. Is that what you've got in front of you?
It's not in here.
Oh, it's not in there. Okay, fair enough. No.
It's before we go into it, it's also worth crediting Jordi Belair as well, who did the colours. So we mentioned they were good.
So Lewis read the paper copy, which is the one that I bought.
Yeah,
I was
in my
about.
hand.
He's got it in his hand. I read a digital copy. So I feel like very slight differences, because I think mine would have had individual covers going through, because I was reading
this doesn't like
individual volumes.
Each cover I'll show you is just kind of like that.
Oh, no, those are the covers. They're really they're pretty basic. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So
there it is.
Pretty much the same then. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. There's sometimes there's like readers' letters and stuff. There wasn't anything in this, so I don't think then you did miss anything at all. So that's
fair enough. There's a couple of like short little bits at the end of each
issue. That like the little extracts and stuff? Yeah. I quite enjoyed that. It was a fun little bit of, I guess, world building more than anything.
Yeah, it was good fun, and it was kind of like, oh, I wonder where this is going.
It's mostly from, what is it, the Recorded Feynman, is it? Which is, I guess, a fictional account of Richard Feynman's life.
Yeah.
And it's just little tiny quotes that kind of, like you say, hint at either something we've just seen happen or something that's going to happen.
Or that will lead back in.
Yeah.
So obviously we mentioned this as an alternate. We've mentioned what it is. It does obviously bring in known people. So the main character is a fictionalized Oppenheimer, Joseph Oppenheimer.
Yes.
In this story, Oppenheimer was a twin.
Yes.
He had the psychotic Joseph Oppenheimer and the like super intelligent Robert
Yes.
Oppenheimer,
Yes.
which is the one that's meant to be based on the real one.
Yes.
We've also got Albert Einstein plays,
Yes.
although it says here Albrecht Einstein.
Because in the issue when all is revealed there, so about halfway through, we start getting these cast lists at the back. I don't know if it again, this might be different in this. So about halfway through, once all the characters are introduced, so end of issue 3, you get a little cast list.
Right.
And then when that's revealed, the first name gets added to Einstein when it's revealed his actual first name.
Okay.
And it changes from super genius to highly intelligent because he's a different version of him.
It just says in the back here, highly intelligent.
Yeah, so everyone else is pretty much super geniuses on there.
Yeah,
apart from the military personnel and
so I'll read through the description.
Yeah, go through the little,
Joseph Oppenheimer, super genius, American physicist, multiple personalities.
Yes.
Albrecht Einstein, highly intelligent German physicist, drinks. He's an alcoholic in this.
Yep.
Richard Feynman, super genius American physicist, wormholer.
We don't get any of that in this, do we?
No. Oh, no.
No, maybe not.
No.
I was surprised, yeah.
Enrico Fermi, super genius Italian physicist, not human.
That's something that's not resolved in this at all.
Yeah,
is it?
and also I kept getting him mixed up with Oppenheimer.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
They not Oppenheimer, maybe someone else. So that they looked kind of similar
because he's got like kind of Spock ears and like kind of almost or like maybe he's like from Atlantis or something. It's that kind of Namor / Spock kind of look.
We got Harry Daghlian, super genius American physicist, irradiated.
Yep.
He's just like a floating skull.
Yeah, when you first see him, I was like, "What the hell?"
And like nobody mentions it. And I was like, "Okay."
He's almost like a neon Ghost Rider kind of. There's a guy in Batman Beyond that looks a bit like that as well, and he's in a containment suit kind of thing, isn't
right? Werner von Braun, super genius German rocket science robot arm.
Yeah,
I liked his first film. He just got a robot arm. You're like, yeah, okay, this is all.
And I love that he's just like a giant buff guy. Like he's like hulking. And he gets recruited, and he still just wears his Nazi uniform.
Yeah, like, okay. We got Leslie Groves, not a genius.
Yeah.
American general smokes bombs.
Yeah.
Who's kind of in charge of the project.
He's kind of the Nick Fury of the situation.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah.
FDR AI. Computational super genius American president dead.
Yes.
He dies in this. They bring him back as an AI screen, which I feel like they don't fully use in this volume.
I think,
but he's quite fun when he's around.
So when that cast list first comes up, must be the end of that issue when he becomes the AI, and that's when like all the main players are in the play.
Right.
From then on, I feel like it's the kind of thing that if you picked it up at that point in an ongoing thing, you'd be like, oh, this is a cool big cast of characters. So it almost takes those first 3 to get everyone introduced.
And then Harry S. Truman, not a genius, American president, Freemason.
Yes.
He gets introduced as like a Freemason cult leader, and that's just
he's
fun.
Like wearing a weird robe and a hat.
They're like, you're getting sworn in as president. It's like, okay.
Yeah. It seems like he's kind of just the pawn president, isn't he? Like kind of just in like figurehead almost. Based on what we see in this.
But yeah, we'll I haven't got like an IMDb score obviously, but I read a couple of reviews and it was generally well regarded. I think a lot of people said once it kind of settles in like volume 2 after what we've read, it gets better.
Really? Okay.
So cool. I think this probably isn't the best volume. Like
no, I was worried about that going in because I didn't. Yeah, because sometimes it takes longer than one to get going. But I feel like it. There was some quotes from Jonathan Hickman that I wrote down where he was saying he wanted each volume to feel like its own thing. And although this one is very much the introductory one, I feel like it is its own thing. It ends at a point where we're like, the stage is set and we kind of have an idea of maybe what's going to happen at the start of the next one.
But I mean, they've all got project in the title, so we could revisit volume 2 at some point.
Yeah.
We'll quickly summarize, go through it. Maybe not as step by step as usual.
Yeah.
But it opens with the prologue, which is titled "I Am Not My Brother."
Well, the first issue is called Infinite Oppenheimers as well. I don't know if you got
I got that. The prologue was before that for me in here.
Oh, okay.
And it starts in 1942 and it's Groves hiring Robert Oppenheimer.
Well, yeah, Oppenheimer at this point. And
Yeah.
there's a mention of his brother, and he mentions that he was involved in communist activity.
Yeah.
And he says, I hope you don't share his like bad habits or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he literally, there's a great bit where he goes like, don't worry, I am not my brother. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
that kind of comes back, doesn't it?
Yeah, he said, I don't have to concern myself with you suffering from your brother's affliction, communism,
Yeah.
but maybe something else.
But exactly, the affliction and the not being the brother is kind of
Yeah. But then, volume one, issue 1, Infinite Oppenheimers, and we kind of get the background a bit.
This is the kind of dual histories of the Oppenheimers, and it goes through and ends with Robert Oppenheimer was an emerging titan of the scientific world, and Joseph Oppenheimer was an emerging titan of the genocidal world.
Yeah,
and they've
I was like, it's a bit of a stretch, but I quite liked it.
They had similar starts, but it's the classic kind of serial killer thing where Joseph Oppenheimer was, torturing animals and stuff, and he then goes on like a murder spree or something, doesn't he, and gets institutionalized.
I quite like it as well, like the first couple of panels in this where it's like you read the top one first and then you see it from like a different angles. Like the first one's got seemingly the two of them like rolling around playing, but then you see it from Joseph's point of view and he's actually kind of being like attacked by his brother
almost, isn't he?
And then it's also the other one there, I've got a baby brother and you've got a picture of them looking nice, and it's like actually focusing on Joseph, and it's like actually he's not as happy there, which you can kind of see in the first one, but you don't focus on it. And it's like, so Joseph Robert is becoming one of the world's leading scientists, and Joseph is crazy.
And I think that as well as that bit about of the world, Joseph is institutionalized after he gets caught for all the murders he did. And I don't know if it even mentions at this point that he kind of said goodbye to him and all that. I think that maybe it kind of goes back and forward, doesn't it? Because we might as well should we move through?
Yeah, so the final bit on that section of the story in this issue is Joseph escaping. So I think we saw maybe at the end of that bit that he'd said goodbye to him for what he seemed was the last time, and then we get a bit more in the story in the present day, but it goes back to find out that Joseph did escaped and killed Robert and took his place,
and his way of getting the memories and the intelligence and stuff is by cannibalizing his victims.
At first I was like, is that like a crazy thing? But this comic somewhat, I mean, it's not definitive. It could still be a split personality thing, but you do kind of see different versions of him. It
seems to be, and it seems to imply early on that he wasn't as clever as him, but then he becomes as clever as him. And he manages to carry on his scientific career. So from that, either it was within him and he unlocked it, or he actually did get
But it's a cool bit on this bit where like the red and the blue panels start to mix, and he takes over.
I can see from here the blue blood there is really really gory.
And then we get that first bit again of him talking to General Groves, but we now see it from actual Joseph's point of view, and you're like,
and this is I am not my, what does he say? I don't but share
I'm not my brother.
I'm not my brother. And it's like, well, he kind of is and isn't, because he's replaced him.
But he's a worse version.
But he is him. But So that was a really fun framing thing for the first issue. I think that really got me into it.
I think that kind of made me like, I'm intrigued to see where this goes.
Because also in something else, and this is why I was kind of relieved to see when I saw that Joseph thing was confirmed by the end of this. I was like, I'm glad that's not a thread that I had spoiled for the whole thing, because in another comic where that was more central to the plot, they could have done more of a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. style sleeper agent situation.
Whereas this is kind of just an excuse to write Oppenheimer as like a crazed cannibal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like we were saying before, like it's just building up this roster of fictionalized, wacky, weird science versions of them. And this is kind of just his origin, really, more than anything, isn't it?
And the other story in this issue is basically Oppenheimer being introduced to the Manhattan Project. Groves saying that the atomic bomb is just a cover, and basically he says they're doing pan-dimensional space and AI stuff. He's basically saying like, help us build this atomic bomb and you can do whatever you want.
He says you can work or whatever. And there's a fun little bit which is something they do really well in this, is the kind of subtle world building of just this tour going through. You see like a UFO, you see Einstein seemingly locked in a room staring at this kind of monolithic tablet thing.
And it's clearly Einstein.
It's clearly Einstein, yeah. And you see, they mentioned something about harvesting dimensional energy to power. So it's all these little. It's almost like techno babble, but it feels well played. It feels like this is going to be something at some point.
It reminded me a little of Men in Black in a weird way.
Yeah.
The scene where Will Smith first gets into the Men in Black, and they're walking through, and you see all this wacky stuff going around, which is fun.
Yeah.
Some of it may play into it, some not, but it's just kind of fun seeing all this stuff.
It's that quick little kind of world building. And even, I don't know if it's in this one or later, but you see in Einstein's room, he's got like all these kind of relics and things around him that don't like almost match with the scientific nature of the other stuff. And I think that comes into play with the Einsteins later. There's a little hint to maybe what that's going on there.
And then after this, because this is World War II, the Japanese attack. They've got like a portal thing.
Yeah, this is another fun bit where they mention like, last month's sentient origami incident. Like I think they say origami was like faxed through or something, and it killed like loads
death
of
by paper cut.
They say paper cuts are no way for a man to meet his maker. And this kind of red Tory Gate portal thing turns up, and they say powered by Zen powered death Buddhists. It's all just like, I'm glad they didn't go into this side of it too much, because I was like, this is very kind of verging on being slightly racist Japanese stuff, but it's mainly just this kind of scene,
we get all these like cyborg
kamikaze killing machines, they call them,
who they kind of get through. But the kind of, I guess, important part of this is that General Groves is like, Oppenheimer, you get on the gun, and he's like, I don't have any training. And he's like, you shoot the gun, and he does it, and he's slaughters
and
loads
you
of
can
them.
see that he's kind of unless
although
the hints that maybe it's not the one we're after.
Although because this is before that reveal.
Exactly.
There's a funny bit like in this panel here, I'll just show you, where he's shooting the gun and there's a soldier there holding the ammo so it glows through. Surely Oppenheimer could have done that.
There's a fun bit there as well where we see the aftermath and it's all the machines. And actually, this is one of the scenes that has the good kind of Where's Wally view of above. Which I think Lewis is looking at there. But we see afterwards the aftermath. Yeah, it's a really good scene there. We see the aftermath and we see that they managed to get to Einstein's room, but seemingly he's killed all of the robots. So it's like another hint that something's going on with him there. And that's something that I think they skip a lot of this in issue 2 and it goes straight to issue 3, which is quite fun.
And we also see a bit where like Oppenheimer's really angry at this AI robot. He hates AI robots, and he just like, General Groves has to like hold him back because he's just like stamping on this robot.
It's like the machine gun thing, and then that is where it's kind of like, okay, this guy is a little bit unhinged.
And then literally the next page is the reveal that, actually this isn't Oppenheimer.
I've got this quote bit written down here. It's the twins light and dark halves ward, and in that I don't know what era that Oppenheimer shattered, and then it's welcome world breaker, welcome trickster, welcome liar, welcome destroyer. And I'm like, there's some cool stuff going on here. Is that where it shows like it's just like the zooming in
taking over, and he's but that's volume 1. And I was like, cool. I'd kind of been putting off reading this because I was like,
enough.
And then when I actually sat down and started reading it, I was like, I'm hooked now, and I'm happy to go do the rest.
I mean, I knew very little going into this, just the kind of general, probably what you read from Wikipedia, to be honest, and based on the team behind it and stuff, I was like, hopefully there's something to it. It's exactly the same. Finishing it, I was like, it's teased enough stuff. It's got enough potential for this kind of. It could be like a monster from here on out. It could have been a monster of the week thing. It could have been this big sprawling epic. And it kind of does both in these first few volumes, I would say.
It balances it.
It
quite
starts
well.
getting quite big scale by the point that we'll finish this today.
We get a quick, before the next volume properly starts, we get a quick side bit titled I Hope You Like New Experiences, which is just 2 pages. I don't know which volume it would have fallen into.
What's it doing?
It's basically Werner von Braun getting his robot
Oh
arm.
yeah, that's at the start of issue 2 for me.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and it shows that he's like loyal to Hitler and stuff, and you're like, okay, cool. This
You're
is
like,
another
that's
character.
where this is going. There's a recorded Feynman bit right at the end of that first issue that talks about they say when Feynman joined the project, there was 32 distinct versions of Oppenheimer, and then virtually endless by 1968. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's the infinite Oppenheimers they're talking about. But it's like, what is it where somebody's got like loads of versions of themselves? I guess it's kind of Legion kind of thing, is what I'm thinking.
yeah, or
I
kind of
feel
like
it's,
Split.
yeah, I'm
Kinda
thinking
does
where it's
that.
like where there's just like endless versions of them. I guess it's kind of a little bit like Council of Reeds, Council of Ricks kind of thing.
Yeah,
What was it we saw
Spider
recently?
Society.
Spider Society. Yeah, a little bit like that, because the versions we see later, they've all got like slightly different outfits.
Yeah,
and I guess they're based on. Oh, we'll talk about it in a sec, but I guess it's based on the properties of the person that he consumed, maybe, if that's the way it works.
So the second issue is called Rocket Man.
Yes.
And it opens with Richard Feynman. He's basically just introduced as a bit of like a vain arsehole.
Yeah, he seems a bit more kind of a little bit more soft than the other ones, and a little bit more kind of vain and appearance driven. And
yeah, but he goes and he's talking to Einstein. They're doing a thing. They've got this red Tory. They basically want to re-attack the Japanese, and we're getting kind of some side story stuff going on here.
They've got the captured death Buddhists, and they're all just chained up and being forced to use their powers to keep the thing open. And
it's kind of a bit grim because they'd gone back through and captured them supposedly.
Yeah, there's also an offhand comment where Richard Feynman mentions losing like 0.005% of your mass every time you go through a gate. And that he says something like, oh, I wonder if it's just water disappearing or if it's something else. And I was like, I'm going to write that down in case it comes up. It doesn't yet, but I don't know if that'll be
might do.
Like, there's a universe of all their extra bits or whatever. Yeah. But where do they go? Is that all the main scientists having a big meeting?
Yeah. So it's, you got basically all those characters we introduced at the start.
Yeah, and this is the first time we see some of the ones you mentioned, like the skeleton guy and the Spot guy, and
it's basically those two: Oppenheimer, Groves, Feynman, and Einstein.
Yes,
and they've got a meeting because they're being talked to by President Roosevelt.
Yes,
who's basically saying it's near the end of the war. We want to hire Nazis. Anyone got any opposition?
Operation Paperclip, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, and they kind of do debate it for a bit about like how much they could trust them.
Yeah.
Einstein makes a funny bit of being like, well, when they're here, we're in control of them. We can do whatever we want. Obviously, the Jewish in him hated Nazis.
Exactly. Yeah. There's was he called Groves, the science guy?
Groves, the general.
General, yeah. He says, congratulations, we won the war. The reward is a steaming pile of Nazi horse shit.
Yeah.
You can imagine like Tommy Lee Jones or something doing that.
Yeah. But they vote to get the Nazis and they send Feynman into Germany.
I didn't quite understand that because they're like, who can fly? And then like a few of them put their hands up, but it's not him. And then they just choose him. So like, I mean, it's his issue really. So that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, but he drops into like, he thinks it's enemy lines and he immediately like surrenders.
He's like, I'll tell you whatever you want.
Yeah. And like, he's like, oh God, please don't shoot. Please don't shoot. Please, I know things. I can. Oh God, no. And then they're like, Doctor, we're Americans.
Because I think something went wrong with his shoot and he like thinks he went too far or whatever.
But now like closing down the castle and you see this von Braun that we saw before, a bunch of other scientists.
Yeah, they're all around a big like table,
and
aren't they?
He gets like cyanide or whatever for them to all drink or some sort of poison.
Yeah,
they all drink it and drop dead, but he doesn't because he's like, fuck you guys.
And the Americans burst in and he's just sitting there at the table and surrounded by these Nazis with arsenic stuff pouring out of their mouth or whatever.
And I think he kind of clocks on that they're going to want him, and he's like, "I'll come with you guys. I demand citizenship and immunity."
That's it, because there was a bit with the prequely bit with Hitler where he talks about the cause or whatever, and then he kind of goes back on that. It says the cause is knowledge or science or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
the cause isn't Nazism, it's science.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should take that uniform off then. But
but that's pretty much issue 2.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a bit of a, we don't get much Oppenheimer in this. It's mostly, again, adding more characters. We've got those other 2 scientists. We've got Von Braun. We've got
Yeah.
Feynman. This is kind of like, it's the rest of the team. We're introduced to Oppenheimer and Groves
This
in
is
issue
it
1.
in those first 2.
This is the rest of the team. Obviously, Einstein plays more of a feature in this one than he did in the first.
Yeah, and then he gets even more time, I think, at the end of that 3rd one, or might even be the 4th one.
Yeah, and then
There's a fun quote at the end of that as well, where it says, "That night I took Werner von Braun home to America. Sometime later he took us to the moon, and then 10 years after that he took us even further." And it's again teasing that. And the recorded Feynman bit after that says, "The exploratory Forever class frigate UTTF von Braun left the solar system in the year 1997. It never returned." And I'm like, where the fuck is this story going at this point? I'm like,
so it's like, it's touching on real history of like hiring scientists to go to the moon, then just taking it a step further every time and being like, oh yeah, Von Braun we went to
it's
space.
Just like almost skipping straight ahead. And these little extracts are really fun to just world build in a way that, you know, realistically the story's probably not going to get to that 1997.
No,
and that's just something that's named after him. But purely the fact that in this world the technology for whatever a Forever class frigate is allowing to leave the solar system in 1997 is like, there's some fun stuff that they're hinting at. Actually, another thing that's quite funny is that the character that Mads Mikkelsen plays in the newest Indiana Jones film is based on the real Werner von Braun.
Oh, okay,
but they changed his name for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was just looking up.
He helped with
the real Werner von Braun. He died in 1977, so I guess that could be like where the path differs.
Yeah, potentially.
Like I say, 10 years after.
Yeah.
He took us to the moon, which he would have been dead by that point. So
actually, another thing about Werner von Braun there, that when I was reading the interview with Nick Pitara, he was saying that he was at a comic convention and some girl came up to him and said that Werner von Braun is her great granddad and she loves the comic book. And he was like, "This is really weird."
That's funny. Yeah, it would be weird. I mean, I guess
I think she said something like, obviously, I think she said that the Nazi stuff wasn't as, you know, prominent as it was in this, but who's to know, really?
Yeah,
he definitely was, at least at one point.
So. I mean, he was a Nazi. So, yeah, we get
once a Nazi, always a Nazi.
Yeah, we get the epilogue to this issue, which is everything ends. It's basically, it's set like 4 months ago, and it's Feynman approaching Einstein and asking him for help on some bomb stuff, and he's like, "Oh, we've got 2 bomb designs, one's this and one's this, like we want you to come and help both." And Einstein's like, "I'm busy, I'm looking at this rock." And he's like, "No, come help us." And Einstein's just like, just build both.
Yes, yeah,
just do both, which is what they actually did. So I guess that's a little play into that, like, oh yeah, that's why they built 2 different kind of bombs. So I think a lot of these epilogue stuff is just kind of like, oh yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, a lot of these are just the first scene of the issues for me.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's weird how it's cut differently. But then yeah, issue 3 is the bomb.
Yes.
And we get introduction to some other characters in more detail. I mean, it opens with, is it Von Braun as a kid? Yeah, opens with Von Braun as a kid talking to his dad, and he's talking about.
Says Leslie. I don't know who Leslie.
Oh no,
is.
it's General Groves.
General Groves.
Yeah,
right. Okay. Yeah,
it's him as a kid, because it's the whole point is his dad's religious, but has a different take on religion.
It's like a real kind of wrath of God kind of.
Yeah,
vibe. It's something about the righteous.
He says no one exceeds the reach of the righteous.
Yes,
and it's kind of like he's kind of implying that the righteous are even more powerful than God and stuff.
Because that's what comes up with the it comes up at the end of this issue, doesn't it? Actually, so that makes sense. I think I read this one in 2 halves because I had to stop for some reason, so I don't think I put together that with the end.
Right. But yeah, we get more detail about some of the other scientists, the skull and the alien. We find out the skull is like immortal.
Yeah, so they didn't go into too much detail, but they mention him touching the core and the demon reaching out, and there is the real guy who worked on nuclear stuff, and there's something to do with the demon core, is what they called it.
Right.
And something went wrong, and he died from radiation poisoning. So I imagine, without looking up, this is the same guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That must be what it is. But yeah, in this version, he had extended life, almost forever, but it's something like 20,000 years or something, they say, don't they?
Yeah,
his half-life is
24,000
years. Yeah.
But then also Roosevelt dies.
Yes.
It just kind of happens full page.
Yeah, that
just
confused me. That's exactly where I
Okay.
stopped, actually. I was like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, because then we go to like this weird Freemason cult thing, and it's like, what's going on? And then it turns out that the leader of the Freemason cult thing at the George Washington Masonic Memorial. It's Harry Truman. And you're like,
and what's he like in his underpants or something?
Yeah, and like a cloak and stuff,
like a big Illuminati hat thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're gonna be sworn in, but we get with Roosevelt as well that like they're gonna do something with him.
They're wheeling his body in straight away, and they say there's a little bit of electrical activity left and all that, and they plunge a thing into his brain, and we don't really know what it is. But it turns out that they're creating the first AI, first artificial intelligence.
Yeah, which they kind of hinted at. It's like, okay, we're going to
mention it, at the start. And they say initially they've just got a little ticker machine, so he can just ticker out little messages to them. And this is something that develops in the next one into something more.
And then the other part of the issue is Truman's president and Groves calling him is like, look, we've got this bomb.
Yeah.
We're gonna use it. We need his permission. And he's kind of like, wait, what? And he's like, you got me this aside. And then Groves is like pretending not to hear him. And
he's like the Enola Gay is literally, the plane is flying there. It's minutes away.
And then he finally is like, oh, okay, you're saying no. And then just kind of like, okay, and he just ignores it. And
because at the same time, I think he assumes that he's getting permission from the Roosevelt. Is it based on like he's reading it as that?
Yeah,
that's kind of what I read it as.
So he gets a note from Roosevelt saying, all we have to fear is ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think he's just like, yeah, let's do it. And then he says, he said no one exceeds the reach of the righteous.
Which is the thing.
And then sends the bomb. We get a nice full page.
Yeah, I feel like it's a weird bit because they mention, I don't know if it's in that little extract at the end about it being like a shadow government from from AIFDR. I also like that it's AIFDR. It's like all letters. Kind of thing. Yeah.
But this is the end of issue 3.
Yeah.
And like they've dropped the nuclear bomb, and I was kind of like, huh. I thought this was going to be like the end sort of thing. The fact that it's like halfway through, it's kind of like,
I mean, based on the kind of timelines
here?
We're seeing with some of the future bits hinting at, I was kind of like, I assume it goes after it. But yeah, I still didn't think it was going to be this early on. I think maybe it's just getting it out of the way because that was just the pretense for it.
Yeah, and now they can all do their weird science stuff.
Because it does skip, obviously we'll talk about it just a sec, but it skips ahead at least, 5 years or something, doesn't it, for the next one? I don't know the exact date, so that's kind of an interesting choice there.
Yeah, so the next, is it the end of volume 3 or the start of volume 4?
Well, this one is the first one that has that cast list that you mentioned, and it's very slightly different to the one that you mentioned because there's certain bits haven't been revealed at this point.
Right, okay.
There's what were you about to say? Issue 4.
So the door opened wider. Yeah, so was that the end of issue 3?
I don't think I've got any. Well, the issue 4 is the Rose Bridge, so I don't know if that must be what happens in it. If you say that first,
it's they get visited by aliens.
Yes, that's the start of issue 4 on here.
Right. Okay. So it's set sometime in the future. It seems the team is still all together.
Yeah.
Von Braun has lost his hair and is looking older.
Yes. Well, they mention in this. They've got some Soviets or Russians with them in this.
They've got a Soviet and an Italian.
And they mention Roswell and Tunguska, which are famous UFO incidents. I think off the top of my head, Roswell
52.
I was going to say 52, but then I'm thinking Area 51, but it probably is. Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. I've just searched Roswell, which isn't 1947.
Okay,
so it could be okay, so it may be isn't that far ahead.
But basically the they're waiting for a spaceship, and
I like that they're like, what do these guys look like? And they're like, okay, they're tall, they've got grey skin, and they've got big eyes and bulbous head. And it's like, right, it's the classic grey aliens. And then the doors
they
open,
arrive and they're completely
just
different.
completely different.
They're all kind of a lot more monstrous. The leader one kind of looks. He's got like a horse-shaped head,
kind of like a skinny blue scientist horse guy, isn't he?
Yeah, and then the others are just kind of big monsters,
big bruiser kind
of
look
like pugs. Their faces,
yeah, like jellyfied. Are they like kind of see-through jellyfied kind of things?
Yeah. But basically, they're not the aliens they're expecting, and they're like, basically, we killed those guys.
Yeah,
we want to make a deal.
It kind of goes between translated stuff and non-translated stuff.
Yeah,
and the main guy is kind of like, yeah, their empire doesn't exist, and then he says stuff like, we ate their children and we destroyed their homes and stuff.
Like some of the,
I think they're called the Sill. Siill is the new empire.
I think it goes into more stuff in the road.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but yeah, he talks. The main alien says like they've detected some frequency of some energy signal, and they're like, "Give us that." They say, "Give us that, and we'll give you the secret to whatever you need," kind of thing.
Yeah,
kind of implying it's like intergalactic travel or whatever it is they kind of need. Because at this point, von Braun is still trying to crack the code with the rockets and all that.
Oh yeah, so this is then that next prologue where it goes back to
it goes back and forth, doesn't it? Yeah,
because they got
that's the next their next issue, isn't it? Yeah.
The Rose Bridge in between is basically like Einstein suddenly has an idea.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. So I wasn't even looking at what I'd written down. Yeah.
He basically builds this big monolith.
Yeah, well, the FDR, it starts with the FDR AI can talk now, and it's on a screen.
Yeah,
it's more what you'd expect from like a old-fashioned.
He's kind of like in the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, not. I was going to say Von Strucker.
I was going to say Zemo.
It is Zemo. Yeah, Baron Zemo. No,
it's not.
No, it's not.
It's
Zol.
Arnim Zola.
Close as Zola and Zemo. God.
That kind of thing.
Feynman's working on that, and he's trying to get the language thing right so he can talk properly. Einstein comes up and is like, it kind of cutting between him building this monolith
and going to get Feynman.
He just
unplugs FDR
because FDR can kind of sense something's going to happen because he's like reading all those like signals and hormones.
Yeah.
He's like, and he unplugs him. Yeah, and then it kind of the rest of this is a combination of Einstein remembering or like a flashback of an Einstein building this thing from kind of dreams and
it's the red and blue coloring again.
Yes.
And basically he opens up this monolith. It's like a gateway, and there's
like
another
a Stargate kind of thing.
Isn't there's another Einstein there, and he's like, "Oh, hello," and then the other Einstein kills him.
Well, we don't know if he's dead because he's he whacks him over the head. But there's some interesting stuff that he mentions here where he goes through and he says like, "Oh, yours is a universe of science," and it's like, so is his one magic or something like that?
Yeah, and he kind of implies that like it's hyper violent and like
because he's carrying like a weird little club with jewels on it, and also the Einstein in the present that we've seen has all these kind of old artifacts around him. So I'm assuming, because he's not clever, maybe he's magical, or I don't know if that's going to be where this goes. But
and it kind of when he takes our Einstein and drops him off in his world.
Yeah, he's definitely injured. I don't know. Yeah, he seems to be watching him leave.
I think he is fine, but he says like, "You're clearly the smarter man. How do I know this? Because I've never been able to open this on my side." So that leads into
him
back why he's. Yeah, and why he just keeps staring at this monolith because he doesn't know how to open it.
And Feynman figures it out with all these kind of hidden recesses and knobs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he opens it up, and then it kind of just ends with this kind of, you almost see like different multiverse bubbles through it and stuff, don't you? Yeah. And you at this point is the only thing that kind of undermined this is it's kind of the same reveal that we had with the Oppenheimers, that it's just an evil version of him. I liked it, and it reminded me of things like, well, I know you haven't seen Fringe. There's a similar thing to this in Fringe that I won't go into too much detail because it's a good series. Maybe even like there's that episode of Futurama with the two versions themselves, and it's kind of like, but it's the classic multiversal stuff, which is really, really popular now, but in 2012 was probably a bit more of a novel idea.
Yeah. So you get that the prologue in which revisits the alien stuff.
Right.
And it's got some of that fun translation. Like, so there's a bit here. Actually, let me find a good bit. Some are worth on where they say something and they're like, "Oh, we're not quite sure the translation," and it's something really kind of brutal and harsh.
Yeah. And some of it we get little kind of hieroglyphic kind of sigil symbols as well, don't we? So we don't know what that means at all.
So there's a bit that Grove says, "We give you what you want. Who knows what the hell is, and you'll give us the stars." He's kind of questioning.
Yeah.
And we see this horse alien guy saying, "I'll take your head through space back to our nest in a sweeling net."
Yeah.
But it's actually translated to "Yes, General." And there's kind of lots of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about brain rotting and lots of gruesome stuff.
Yeah.
But before they do anything, Oppenheimer shoots the leader.
Yes.
And a big shootout.
He pulls out a little kind of pocket pistol situation, and he just headshots him straight away.
Yeah.
Then the two big bruiser guys start kind of chopping and lasering, and I think most of the main group there get killed.
Yeah, so the Soviet and the Italian guy were introduced to it killed. Werner von Braun gets killed, although maybe it's not him.
I don't know if it is him then.
No, I don't think it is him because he hasn't got the robot arm, actually.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I assumed it was him. Probably because he was German.
I think they mention at some point, like, Braun's rocket something in the previous bit.
Yeah, there's a big shootout, and it basically leaves the only two remaining people are Groves and Oppenheimer.
Yeah, because Groves chucks a grenade, which blows up the two big guys.
And it kind of ends with
yes,
Oppenheimer just feasting on all these bodies.
And it's the first time that Groves or anyone, I think, has seen this before, because he's kind of kept it a secret. Yeah, and it's similar to that first shot we see where he's like feasting on this kind of green goop, and he just turns around and he says like, "Oh, I don't like being watched while I'm eating," or something.
Yeah, and there's that kind of ends with a box saying like, "This is how we learned what was out there." So it is him picking up the knowledge of the seal, and then learning what's out there. And it's like, I kind of like the idea that it plays on that idea from like Operation Paperclip of like using bad things to get more knowledge and learn better. Yeah. And that's kind of a theme throughout this. Of it, extreme, where they constantly doing bad things so that they can learn more and be better.
Well, yeah, because it's the kind of thing, even like, with like Avengers, where, Tony Stark gets a vision that they're going to be attacked at some point. That's kind of what's happening here, where without this horrible cannibalistic kind of thing, they wouldn't know what was coming for them or be able to counterattack it in the next issue.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like how it kind of moves on, and where Groves later is just like, yeah, the reason why we've got this information is classified and you don't want to know about it anyway.
Yeah. So the fifth and final issue of this volume is just called Horizon.
Yeah.
And it's got some background stuff with
Oppenheimer as a kid. I think it's Feynman. I think it says Richards.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't really understand that. It might be one of the other characters that plays a role in this, because it's about like whether you're inherently good or not.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that really plays into Richard Feynman's stuff later, because he doesn't really do much in this.
No, maybe it's just
because there's a character who has like a mustache in this issue.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who that was, because I don't think he's been in it before. So yeah, but this was quite a fun one, because it's got a lot of world building with Oppenheimer's new knowledge. So it's
Oppenheimer like briefing the rest of the science team about everything he knows about all the different aliens. There's a cool map of the universe with the different factions.
It's the whole Milky Way, but it's got strange kind of maps. But I guess it's a 3D thing, so it's kind of hard to
it's always interesting. So you get similar. It's like you get maps of like Star Wars universe or Star Trek universe, but it's always on like a 2D plane, and like that's just not how things look. Obviously Star Wars and Star Trek are different, because Star Trek's based in our Milky Way and our universe, and it's kind of divided up into the quadrants.
Right, okay, yeah.
I guess with Star Wars you could say that they are actually all on the same plane, because it works.
No
with
one ever
sci-fi.
goes up or down. You just keep going along.
But yeah, it's just kind of weird when you kind of divide it. When
Well, really, it should be each
3D.
axis. Yeah.
But yeah, you see the maps, you're like, this is Romulan
But
space.
also, they always do it on 3D holograms in most of those things anyway. Well, in Star Wars anyway. Star Trek, I don't know. They don't have as many holograms, do they?
No, but yeah, I was thinking if you like look up a map, you can get
Yeah.
like printed maps and stuff, and it's like Romulan space and
Yeah,
Klingon
yeah.
space and Federation space, and it's like,
But how far up and if it's infinite, then there'll be another one on top of it.
yeah,
won't there?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, and like the Klingon planet could be directly above Earth, but they still have loads of space themselves.
Yeah, true. It depends on which way you're looking it up as well. Doesn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, this also does the 2D plane kind of map thing, but it's quite cool, and it's got all the different like
Yeah.
races throughout space.
Yeah,
like,
what do they say? Oppenheimer says there's 8 highly advanced alien cultures that are basically of
Yeah.
any threat. He says of any note, and he's like, by that I mean like that might be a threat to us at some point.
Yeah, and he's like, and we're not one of them because we haven't advanced this far.
And
as
what they
them.
mentioned the grey aliens from before were called the Aulodar.
Yeah,
But they've now been
they've
wiped
been
out.
conquered by the seal.
So I think that's what the whole like Roswell and maybe Tunguska, that was them.
yeah,
I think they mentioned that
they were the classic aliens.
they crashed when they were trying to visit, because the whole bit of them doing the alien meeting is like, if we stand here at the right time, they always come and visit us. But then it's different guys that turn up the next time. Yeah.
But yeah, they're talking about how the seal wants something and they've got it. Essentially, that's why they come hunting.
What
And
do they
it's
call it? The
a pulling way,
pulling way. Yeah.
which they're not really sure what it is.
No, see, I immediately thought this was like an atomic thing because I didn't know where the timeline was.
Oh, I immediately
Did you think
knew
it
what...
was the gate thing? Then?
Yeah, I was
I
like,
just
straight
didn't,
away,
I
I
just
was
didn't
like-
make the connection at
Even
all.
when they were talking before, and they
Yeah.
and then there's the shootout, I
'Cause
was
it
like,
was- 'cause it
they
was-
want the monolith
because they were in New Mexico then, and I was thinking that's where they did the testing for the nuclear stuff.
Right.
But I was like, also atomic stuff. Like, why wouldn't aliens have atomic
I mean,
stuff?
also Roswell's in New Mexico, so
yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
why they
that's
were
why
there.
they were meeting there. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's basically explaining this plan, and they're gonna go out and talk to the
Yeah.
seal.
Well, they say
empire.
before that they're like they're a hive mind, so they know what we've done,
Yeah,
and they also they're going to come back with this technology that they think we've got.
yeah, they're all kind of stuck for ideas, and then Feynman's like, "Hey, why don't we just use an Einstein sitting there like?" Don't you fucking... He's literally says
what does
like...
he say? He's like, I wish I'd killed him.
I should have had him killed. And he's like, we've got a gateway.
It's kind of so it's Einstein Rosen Bridge, right? Is kind of what they're hinting at with the Rose Bridge.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know if that's.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
But they use this gateway and you go and visit the Steel planet.
So is it like a wish thing where you can just go anywhere? Because it seems to be.
I guess so. And we get another like big panel here, and it's got the mix of the scientist guys, the big guys, and then just like some big fat like brain creatures.
Yeah, and then there's that green guy next to them who kind of comes into it in a bit as well.
Kind of looks like he's not one of them.
Yeah, he's more like a kind of devilish green demony looking guy.
And it kind of looks like they're going to get slaughtered, and then the other scientist guy, the big moustache, just smashes Skullman's
before
helmet.
that, he gets his helmet smashed, and then
yeah.
they're like, "Don't worry, the air's breathable." And then we see a little bit where he's like, "I'm dead now." And we're like, "What's that about?" And then there's a bit of like a secret plan of them making this plan to basically smash the radioactive guy's suit and just irradiate the fuck out of all of them.
Literally like genocide them.
And it turns out that because they're a hive mind, by killing the leader, they do a Phantom Menace, and everyone in the Empire's dead, it seems like.
Yeah, it kind of is quite gruesome. You see them all kind of melting and stuff. And then that one green guy steps forward and he's kind of like, well, that was cool.
Yeah. And they're like, are you upset with us? And he's like, I am very upset, and you need to be more careful in future.
And he's basically like, go home and like be ready.
What does he say? Like, when you next reach out to space, be more.
So he's like, oh, I am very angry with you. Go home and see that in the future you reach out more carefully for the stars.
Yeah.
And leaves, and one of them's like, shit.
And it's kind of like, so they've got rid of that immediate threat, but they're now kind of on the radar. It's a bit of a Doctor Who kind of thing, like, now you're on the radar, but there's no immediate threat. But maybe at some point, someone's gonna come and get you.
They're now aware of you,
Which is a kind of an interesting way of doing it, because as we said with the evil twin thing, that could have been something that played out for ages, but they've just now resolved that straight away.
Yeah.
It's very fast moving, the plot in this.
It really is. It kind of jumps from storyline to storyline.
Yeah.
And this kind of just ends shortly after this with Oppenheimer going to, it's set later on,
Yeah.
going to the monolith, opening it up, and then it's kind of him, and you see all the different red versions of him like standing behind him.
Oh yeah,
like,
we didn't even mention that really improperly, but a lot of the time he'll have his alternate personalities as like red ghosts.
And they basically like him in
him.
different costumes, apart from one, which is the horse alien
The
guy.
alien, yeah, which is sometimes giving helpful advice, but sometimes being kind of contradictory to him.
Yeah. But he opens it up and he's like, he's kind of talking to himself, and the other Oppenheimer says, now you see, I think a certain Oppenheimer should say something appropriate for the occasion. And he goes, yes, indeed. We have become death, destroyer of worlds. And it's got a little caption saying, and the universe shuddered.
I like that. I like the twist on the, both the we, meaning the multiple, and literal destroyer of worlds. Because they've got access to alternate, at least planets. I don't know if
alternate dimensions.
It would be dimensions, because of the Einsteins.
Different versions, yeah. And he's now got access to unlimited Oppenheimers.
Yeah, he can go start eating whoever he wants, can't
he? Yeah. But yeah, so that's how Volume 1 ends. A bit of a cliffhanger of like, but also kind of at almost a natural. It feels like the end of an episode, or the end of like the first film or something.
I was just thinking that. I think if they did episodes of this, you could probably put it into one, but it might be a bit jam packed. Maybe like 2 episodes.
I think 2 episodes. Maybe end with the Enola Gay episode 1. And then do the alien stuff after.
Yes,
episode 2.
Yeah.
And end it like here. And it's like, oh shit, Oppenheimer's gonna get up to some stuff. But yeah, that's the end of Science Bad.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I really liked it. Yeah. I would very much like to carry on reading this. I think if this is a good litmus test. If I was just reading this on my own, I'd be reading the next one pretty much straight away. I think there's certain things that, like the artwork we spoke about, it's not my favorite, but I think it works for the story. I think I kind of both love and slightly dislike some of the way it jumps around, and I liked at first, as we kind of talked about, the weird kind of vague world building of like, we're walking past all these experiments, but I think I would have also liked a little bit more time spent on certain bits.
I know what you mean. That was kind of thing that I kind of had to get used to, the jumping around the stories and stuff. But I think one reason you kind of get used to it is that they've set up this cast of characters and it's generally featuring 1 or 2 of these characters, so it's got easier to kind of follow.
Yeah, I think after, like, even though I was surprised when it jumped to what we assume is 1947, 1948 with the alien stuff, it kind of makes sense because everyone seems to have progressed in that time as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, it's not a major like negative of it or anything. And I think if I was reading this as an overall thing, it wouldn't even become a thing, because also it might be that in volume 2 it skips around slightly less once the plot becomes a little bit more regular, and it might be what you were saying with those reviews and feedback that said, from volume 3 or whatever, it's a bit more smooth running.
I saw a few people saying like, even if volume 1 like wasn't your kind of thing, check out volume 2 first, and then you'll be able to tell whether or not you like it.
Okay, cool.
So I think it will be a bit more streamlined. But
yeah,
for me, that it worked. It was good fun, and I always enjoy kind of like alternate history things.
Yes,
like
me too, yeah,
you think like Man in the High Castle and stuff like that. It's always it's always World War II era or post World War II era stuff.
That space one on Apple TV is supposed to be good. Have you seen that? It's
Nope.
like the alternate space race or something, and it's a couple of seasons in. I can't remember what it's called, but it's supposed to be very good.
Yeah, and it's good fun, and obviously, hopefully, more than one of these characters show up in Oppenheimer. That'll be fun.
Yeah, no, I think at least two of them will, from the very small bits I've seen there.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was good fun.
Yeah.
And I like you. I was like, yeah, I'd like to read the second volume.
I was quite surprised how quickly it got to like the alien empires and stuff, and that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like certain bits of X-Men, it's not really been in many of the films and stuff, but I think some of the animated series gets there. There's like the Shi'ar Empire and Shi'ar. There's another one that's big, and then Skrulls, obviously in Marvel.
Yeah.
That kind of cosmic side of things. It's also a little bit like Invincible, when Invincible suddenly gets quite big very early on. It really reminded me of that, and I quite like it when creators are quite just like brazen with that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's
kind of like we want this to be like a space setting.
Yeah.
But Earth's first touch into space, so we need to set it up before.
Yeah.
But we want to do it as quickly as possible so we can get to the space
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like the start of issue 4, and you're like, okay, cool, right?
Yeah.
And not knowing like anything about it beyond that initial kind of little blurb there, I was like, I'm here for this, whatever.
Yeah.
And the interdimensional stuff, like it's I've no idea what's going to happen, but I'm very happy to see what is going to happen. I just like how everyone just like half the people in the team are just like awful and mean and like all actual evil versions of themselves.
Yeah, it's quite an amusing like cast of characters.
It kind of seems like Feynman is the only like kind of normal one.
Yeah, but even then, like he's still a dick.
Yeah.
I think the only one that doesn't seem like a dick is the skull guy.
Yeah, because he seems upset that he accidentally killed his friend. The friend that with the mustache, he seemed nice, but I don't know who he was. And the Spock Atlantis guy,
we haven't really seen enough of.
He seemed okay, but we don't know anything about him. Yeah.
But
and the original Einstein seemed lovely before he got trapped in another dimension.
Yeah. So before we do ratings, I guess we need to figure out what have we learned about the real Manhattan Project from this.
I mean, I feel like we can pick up. So, I mean, we know some key characters that were involved.
Yeah.
I think at least like a few of those people, like Oppenheimer. Real Robert Oppenheimer, J. Robert Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Albert Einstein was involved, wasn't he?
Yeah. Leslie Groves.
Leslie Groves.
Will probably be
Richard Feynman, I think, as well.
Yeah. So it's kind of got Leslie Groves was actually the director of the Manhattan Project.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, we getting these fiction. We get names. So when like Groves pops up, we'll be like, oh yeah, it's the guy with the disgusting face in the comic.
Yeah.
But like, I guess we don't really know anything about these people.
Yeah, maybe Von Braun might show up. I don't know if he was involved in that.
No, because he would have been.
It's rockets rather than
he was
like
space
missile.
Race.
It's not even missiles, is it? Because they dropped it.
Yeah, and I don't think they would have. Don't think they got Nazis till after the Manhattan Project had been done.
Yeah, I mean, in this it plays around with that timeline, which is what I was just wondering there. And we get certain little details like the Enola Gay was the real plane that dropped off the payloads. So that's real.
Something we learned as well. Actually, yeah, you're right.
We've got the Enola Gay. I mean, anything from issue 4 onwards isn't relevant, is it? Because it just goes up to there.
No.
We've got some little bits about obviously them being at war with Japan.
Enrico Fermi.
He's the Italian guy, isn't he?
Yeah. No, he's the Spock-looking guy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It says Italian in here.
Oh, yeah.
He created the world's first nuclear reactor.
Right. Okay.
The real
Fermi
version.
Reactor, yeah.
So these are all kind of like real people, so don't be surprised if they come up. The skull guy.
Oh, and the presidents will both be in it probably in different ways, won't they?
Harry Dalian died age 24 when he was accidentally irradiated himself.
Touch the demon core. Yes, I've got him here. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
So he might also feature because
and the demon core. It actually is that little round thing from the other film that we watched, the Manhattan Project.
Oh yeah,
that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's kind of the main group. So we've learned people, even if it's not accurate depictions of them. So we know some people are involved. We know Enola Gay dropped the bomb.
Yep.
I guess from this
we also know it was 1945 when they dropped it, which I don't think we actually knew.
And Oppenheimer was recruited in 1942.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of this stuff may turn out to be not true, but
I feel like some of those basics you probably keep accurate. Wouldn't you?
Oppenheimer had an evil twin.
Yeah. Einstein created a portal to another dimension.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that bit. I mean, everyone was thinking with oh my god, what is it called? Dunkirk. When it was coming out, everyone's like, what's going to be the Nolan twist on this?
Yeah.
And it was more of a framing device with the kind of time zones than anything. It wasn't an actual. Can you imagine if this is actually like a secret version of the Manhattan Projects? This comic.
Oh, that would be mad.
And it just turns out that's why they haven't shown us anything. Because all of it is sci-fi shit. They can't show us yet.
I mean, it would be Christopher Nolan to just go full sci-fi because he's never really done an actual real based on a real story.
Dunkirk is the only one,
apart from Dunkirk.
But even that, like the individual stories it tells are not fully following.
The fact that he's focusing on Oppenheimer, who was a real person.
Yeah,
he doesn't really do biopics.
From the little teaser trailers I've seen, I know I think it looks like there's parts where it's maybe set after and he's being questioned about his involvement.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe it will play around with that kind of narrative of going back and
part of me is
forth.
kind of expecting the bomb to go off like halfway through the film sort of thing.
Yeah, and it might be like dealing with his because I've
become destroyer of worlds.
Yeah, but I don't know, and I'm not going to look up anything post because I don't know. Like, I don't know how long he lives afterwards, kind of thing. Like, I don't know what his life was like afterwards. Like, I would have read it at some point. But in the last,
I know some stuff, but I won't say.
In the last couple of years, I haven't. Since this film was announced, like I'll let Christopher Nolan tell me.
Yeah,
but yeah, we overall we found a little bit more out in this than definitely more than the other ones.
Yeah,
very surface level stuff. But...
so the knowledge is building up.
Yeah,
it's building up. So should we give this a rating?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about ratings at all. So I'm going to put it pretty high because I think it's one of the things I enjoyed.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely higher quality, and I enjoyed it more than most of the stuff that we talk about on the mainline podcast.
Yeah,
anyway.
Agreed.
I don't know if I want to put it as high. I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10 because maybe if the art was more my cup of tea and maybe a couple other bits, it could get up somewhere near there. I'm even slightly hesitant to give it a 9 because I don't know. Maybe I should just go for it. I don't know if I've ever given anything a 9.
You can give it a 9 if you want. If you can't think any reason not to.
Well, my only reason would be if we do another one and it's better, and then I have to give it a 10.
You can give it a 9 again. You can have different levels of 9s.
They're like 9.5 in my head.
Yeah.
I'm just not allowed to say. No, I'm going to go with an 8. I'm going to be mean.
You coward.
I'm giving it an 8. I'm going to give the next one a 9.
Oh, dude. Well, we'll see.
I'll give it an 8. What about you?
I was already thinking an 8, so I'm going to give it an 8. I was like, it is enjoyable. It wasn't perfect.
No.
Like I said, not a fan of the art style, which does take off at least a point when you're reading a comic.
And I think the criticisms we've had with the kind of this is the setup and that sort of thing, I think those are the bits that push me down from a 9 to an 8.
Cool, 8's all around. That means we are done with the Manhattan Project, and we can now move on to the next section, which is called Personal Projects.
What are you doing here?
I'm your personal
project.
So, Sam, what have you been watching, reading, or playing?
Well, I've been reading and I've been watching. I don't think I've been playing much, actually. I've had a bit of a lull with games. I didn't buy Tears of the Kingdom, and it's too far into the month to justify £49 now, to be honest. I've been... I'll start with what I've been watching. I watched The Witcher Season 3.
Oh, I haven't got around to that yet.
So it's they've done what they did with Stranger Things. They've split into 2 halves.
Great.
So it is, I want to say 6 episodes.
Just release it week by week.
They should.
Stop
to be honest,
around.
with this, I would say it's better the way they did it.
Some of the episodes a bit slow and dull.
First episode was good, and I think the last episode was pretty good.
Okay.
I had some time off, as I mentioned, so I did watch most of them in a day or two, just because I had time to do it. But it's pretty good. I would say it. I think the episodes are just too long. They're like all close to an hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like they don't know what to do with that. And there's definitely some, it moves along quite nicely. And a lot of the characters get good stuff to do. Like Jaskier's got quite a fun little thing going on. He's gone a bit more moody and like, I don't know, like he's had some bad stuff happen. He's a bit like
emo phase Jaskier.
He looks like Tim Minchin in this season. He's got longer hair. He's got like makeup on, and he's pretty fun as always. They kind of do a lot with Yennefer and Geralt's relationship, because I can't remember where the last one ended, but they were on a bit of a bad time or whatever. I think they just got reunited, and then she kind of betrayed him a bit or whatever. So a lot of it's based around that, especially the first episode kind of skips over them kind of sheltering Ciri because she's on the run or whatever, and it's pretty good.
I think I'm gonna need a recap of season 1.
Yeah, I didn't get one at the start. Oh no, I think I did, but it didn't really answer enough questions.
I remember when I started watching season 2 and I was like, damn, I wish I had a recap of season 1.
Honestly, like that first episode of season 1, I remember being good, but there's so much exposition, and when it's a world that you're not familiar with, you don't know which names and places are worth remembering or not. And sometimes shows and movies and films and all that do it well, and you kind of just go, like with Dungeons and Dragons, we were talking about, they're constantly just saying things, but you kind of just go, this is part of the world.
I feel like it's often a thing with fantasy, both like in like TV and books and stuff, where there's so many kind of weird, obscure names. I quite often just skip over the names or just kind of flick by it, because it's just you're reading like, oh, and I went to a meeting with, and he said, and you're like, you don't really
it's only until
the
they
name.
come back again, and you go, oh yeah. And sometimes that's written better than other times, and I feel like people have said that about Dune, the first Dune being quite like that, where like in a bad way, where it's quite dense, and even the blurb on the back of Dune is just like the densest thing that you've ever read on the outside of a book. Like
I remember watching the first like 20 minutes of the 80s Dune film, and it was just like,
I still haven't seen it. I might watch it.
I
might watch it again. I mean, we could even silver screen that as well. We could really mix things up.
But I don't want to spoil June Part
That's
2.
true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'll wait till after the new one then.
Yeah.
That we were speaking last episode, I think, when we were talking about Denis Villeneuve, and I looked up how I pronounce it afterwards, and I don't think either of us said it right once, and I don't think that was right either, because it was
Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve it is. Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Just Villeneuve, I think.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, I've literally never said it like that.
I think it's actually Denis Villeneuve is what it is.
What?
So it's because I looked up just a load of, there's a compilation of him saying his own name at the start of like those video interviews.
I saw an interview with Taylor Lautner, and he was like, Lautner's not how you say my name, and he was like, but it's my fault, because like when Twilight first got big, people kept saying Lautner.
So what is it, like Lautner?
It's Lautner. He's like, it's my name's Taylor Lautner, but people started saying Lautner and I didn't correct them, so I've just been Taylor Lautner all my career.
Oh dear. But they have made some semi-announcements about a third film based on that second book.
Yeah, I think I saw some
I don't know if it's Denis Villeneuve. Is that right? I don't know if he'll do another one or what, but you listen back to our last episode, there's lots of speculation about that.
I haven't listened back to that episode yet, so
I know you haven't. but yeah, no, I've got a couple other bits. Have you managed to squeeze anything in?
Yes, I've got a film and a TV series that I've watched. A film I watched in Scotland, cool. Which David asked me a couple of times if I'm going to talk about it on here.
Okay.
He was like, talk about it on here. And I was like, okay, I will. But one night we were like, let's watch a film. They had like a DVD collection.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
Bizarre collection. Like, I won't go into it. It's like 3 copies of Atonement were in there.
Weird.
Don't know why.
Okay, yeah.
But we ended up watching 1995's Timecop with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right.
Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's
no.
bad, but like funny bad.
I've heard it referenced like by name.
Yeah,
and by Jean-Claude.
I also
Van Damme.
kind of realised that like I've never really watched a Jean-Claude Van Damme film, and
I
like
don't know if I have either.
he was a kickboxer before.
Yes.
It goes heavy into the kickboxing, and also he fucking loves doing the splits. Like,
yeah, I mean that's the two things I know about him. He kicks and splits.
There's one really funny bit where like someone breaks into his apartment and he fights with them, and there's like oil or something spilt all over the floor. And like, as they're fighting, like one person falls over and he like throws a match down and jumps up and does the splits like over his kitchen counter, like over the corner bit with like one in the sink and one on the side.
So he's not in the fire?
Yeah, the rest of the floor goes up. But yeah, it's a really, really silly film. And
Is it like a time traveling cop situation?
Yeah, so it kind of opens with like his wife gets killed or whatever. And then they go to like Congress or something. Someone's like, and they're like, we've built time travel.
Okay.
And he's like, but the problem is, and they're like kind of dismissive. And he's like, no, the problem is now it exists. We need to like police it. And he's like, we don't want to do time travel because butterfly infect everything. But if we do it, other people can do it.
So what they're saying, as soon as it's invented, it's like out there effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like,
is it like a cause and effect thing of like now it's in the world, or is it like the technology exists and we need to kind of
they don't go into that detail.
Yeah, no.
But they're like, we need to build like a task force, and it's set like 10 years after his wife dies, and basically he's part of a team that go back and stop stuff going like changing.
Right. Okay.
And like his old partner's gone back and started making millions from like stock
it's a bit
exchange
like
stuff.
when in Loki where they have to clean up the timeline, that kind of vibe of like fixing it.
But then it kind of goes off, and there's the villain who's gone back in time so he could fund his presidential race in the future.
Okay.
And
a little bit Back to the Future too then.
and he's also happens to be the Congress guy who's head of the program. So
I think that's a bit RoboCop from what I know about that first one. Yeah,
and like it is silly, but like, I had fun with it.
Is it RoboCop kind of like? Is it violent or is it quite?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think.
When was it from? 95? 95. Okay.
94 even.
Yeah.
And like it's not too bloody. There's a couple of like sex scenes where you see like you don't see Jean-Claude Van Damme's dick, but you see like boobs and stuff.
Yeah,
and you're
classic.
Like,
classic boobs.
It goes on for a bit longer than it probably needs to.
Classic 90s boobs. Yeah.
So like it's clearly like not for kids.
Okay.
But like it's not overly gory. Some of the action stuff is silly and fun, and some of it is just like don't think too hard about this like time travel stuff.
Is it quite sci-fi? Do they have like laser guns, or are they shooting?
I think it's just guns. Standard.
I don't want it like too spoiled, but like, do they time hop quite a bit? Does it get like?
I think he time hops 2 or 3 times.
Like not to anywhere particularly crazy.
No, it's literally he goes back.
Not like a certain film that's in the cinema at the moment. Without spoiling it for anyone who hasn't seen The Flash. Definitely talking about The Flash.
The opening scene actually is the one time where you see it's set during the Civil War, and there's some like Confederate soldiers, and there's a guy who's like, give me your gold, essentially, and he's like, I'm a Confederate too, and then that's it, and we hear later on that someone made millions because they sold some Confederate era gold that went missing. Right. But apart from that, he goes back like 10 years.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's fun though.
It's quite good fun. And like the effects of the time travel is just kind of a bit silly, and it's like, this is alright.
Is it similar in tone at all to like Shadow Chaser, like that kind of because that's quite like that's almost 80s going into 90s vibes, isn't it?
Yeah,
is it similar to that?
Kind of
higher budget and better looking, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. It's still not great, but
does he get a cool outfit?
It's just kind of 90s stuff.
Not like any, not
nothing
like
nothing overly memorable.
Oh.
There's a really funny bit at the start where him and his wife are like at a shopping mall, and he he sees like somebody on like roller skates steal this old lady's handbag,
Right.
And he's like, I've got to deal with this. And as he's like skating down, this guy suddenly stops and there's like a big boot in his face. And the camera kind of pans out and it's Jean-Claude Van Damme standing there with his boot up in his face. And he's like,
what, just stopping him? Or
yeah,
is he-
like literally like inches from his face. And the guy's like, and he's like, what's it say? And like on the bottom of his boot,
I
is,
think I can see this bit here now.
on the bottom of the boot is written Wolverine. And he's like, it says Wolverine. He's like, no, read between the lines. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And goes and returns the bag. And I was just like, wait, what? This doesn't make any
What
sense.
does that mean? I can see, yeah, I've Googled Timecop, and one of the things that comes up, he's got a beanie on and roller skates, this guy. I can see him,
Yeah. But it's just quite silly. There's some, I guess it's de-aging stuff because
Okay.
you see Jean-Claude Van Damme like 10 years apart,
Right.
but it's mostly just hairstyle and clothes.
yeah.
Because, you know, they didn't have that technology.
Yeah,
But
I'm looking at it now. It looks like, just from these screenshots, yeah, I could get the vibe of it.
yeah, I think when I watched it with Kane and David and Kane's partner, me and David were saying after, like, I think we enjoyed it much more watching it as a group than just watching it by yourself. You'd
One of
probably
those
be
where
more
you can
critical.
kind of do the little quips and that and be
Yeah,
like, oh, look at
sit
that.
there and kind of joke about it and collectively laugh at silly things.
Yeah.
If you're watching it by yourself, you'd probably be a bit more critical. But yeah, Timecop is
Cool.
it's silly. The other thing I watched when I got back actually, I watched Skull Island.
Oh, nice, you did. Cool.
Yes. Are you just looking up your notes now?
No, I'm just writing it down so I can put it in the description
Oh,
later.
okay.
It saves me listening back.
Yeah,
before.
so I watched through, is it 8 episodes, all through 8 episodes?
I think it's 8, and they're about 21, 25
Yeah, I watched it
minutes,
over a couple of days. And it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I like that it was kind of set in like the 90s, so it doesn't need to.
Is it right? Does it say that?
I
Or
think,
you just assume-
I think
okay.
on Wikipedia it
Oh,
says it.
okay,
So I
yeah.
was looking up
'Cause,
season 2.
When we spoke about it, I remember saying that I wasn't sure. It's definitely not the Skull Island film bit. It's not
Yeah,
in this.
I think-
it's not post Vietnam, and it's not modern day. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think it says on
Okay.
Wikipedia it's the But yeah, I thought
Okay,
it was
cool.
good fun. I think some of like the B plot stuff dragged a little for me.
yeah. I would get
But like the monsters are great, the designs are great, all the little weird creatures like the rock and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
just like turns into a creature.
And there's like the weird like tree gremlin things that you only just see in like that one scene, but they're all like
Yeah.
huddled up on the tree.
And you get like the like tortoise that's like got aloe on its
Yeah,
back.
that's cute.
It's like it kind of it's got some of the creepy qualities that remind me of like the 2005 King Kong
Yeah.
film that you don't see as much
There's
in
a bit
Skull
with
Island.
like a big millipede centipede thing, isn't
Yeah.
there? Yeah, that's cool.
But I
yeah.
was like, yeah, this is good fun. I feel like it ended fairly kind of abruptly, and I
Yeah.
think it didn't quite help that the penultimate episode is like the Kong backstory episode.
I think maybe that should have been a bit earlier.
I think it should have been early in the season, but then they were saving Kong. When Kong first arrives, you're like, cool, Kong's here.
Yeah.
The character,
They're just like, they're like, what the fuck? There's a giant ape here.
yeah. I like the bit where like the main guy reunites with his dad, and they kind of talk about the wild things. Like, have you seen the giant monkey? And he's like, what? And he's like, okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I was a little disappointed that it ended on like such a cliffhanger. Like, not such a cliffhanger, but like the Annie's in a city recovering.
Yes.
Dog's not there. We don't know if the other kid survived.
Yeah, it felt very like cliffhanger. For all
I
of
feel like
those
there's
plot
kind of
points.
too many things.
Well, they did that with we talked about Camp Cretaceous a little bit last when I
Yeah.
spoke about it. I think this is more adult, more teen than that. I would
it's
say,
got the blood and stuff.
but
So
that did a lot of like it ended, and then when you looked it up, it said season 2's next year or whatever. When you looked it up, did it come up with anything?
no, apparently it hasn't been confirmed yet. I
Fair
think
enough, yeah.
it said Netflix were like waiting on like the data of how popular, but
Well,
obviously,
we both watched through it once, so
yeah, but
hopefully,
it came out a few weeks ago now, so
yeah,
hopefully they'll make a decision. It's really annoying if they don't renew it.
yeah.
So I was like,
Was it Mike? Is that, or who was the guy with the poison? That was kind of annoying as well. It's like if you're getting poisoned, you need to tell someone. If you've got an injury,
it's such a big
it's the
pet
zombie
peeve.
bite thing. You know, it's like
Yeah.
normally that character is like a piece of shit, and you're like, they're not telling you because they're selfish. This guy, he was supposed to be a nice guy, and he seemed alright,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's just
he's-
and it's too late. Like, they
Yeah.
probably couldn't have done anything anyway, but it's just a bit.
yeah,
It's funny that the whole dog and Annie thing, they were just on another island that
yeah.
is seemingly like similar vibes.
I'm intrigued to see if we ever see that, if there is a season 2, to see
Yeah,
what's going on
stuff
there.
that maybe washes out of Skull Island ends up there or something.
It's kind of weird as well because like Skull Island, apart from Kong,
Mm.
seems to be mostly like reptiles and bugs, whereas like dog doesn't really fit into either of them.
That's true. I suppose there were, and there's that bird thing. It's quite fun when Kong just has like a hawk that follows him around.
Yeah,
But then I guess they also like fell out because they weren't together in the present day. So I don't really understand that. And then there's the kind of Kraken Leviathan thing.
that was cool. Like the first attack on the boat was cool with the huge
I feel like that, yeah,
tentacles.
when you see the big tentacles and you're just like, what the fuck? And it kills the dad and you're just like, okay, people die in this show. Like,
yeah,
and then the reveal that it is like a Titan, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they have their whole thing. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
but yeah, it's good fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah,
so
cool. I'm glad you did. Yeah.
I'll be keeping an eye out for season 2.
Yeah.
But apart from that, that's me for personal
Yeah,
projects.
cool.
What else you got?
I've got a couple of bits. I've got it here actually. I read Batman White Knight, which I'm going to pass over to Lewis.
Uh-huh.
And this is by Sean Murphy, and it was released in 2017. It's a Batman comic. If anyone didn't
Oh,
get that
really?
so far. Compared to what we talked about today, I think the artwork in this is fantastic, and it is written and drawn, and I think even coloured as well by Sean Murphy, which is pretty insane. Maybe he didn't do the colouring actually. I might be wrong there, but he wrote and drew it, and it's kind of it's a fun little kind of Elseworlds comic, which is set like it's kind of classic, like slightly older Batman. And it starts sort of, you're reading right from the start.
I'm not reading from
No,
it, I'm just
yeah.
looking at some stuff.
It kind of starts with Batman is in jail. And is that what you're looking at there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. And basically the plot of it is that Joker has kind of come to his senses in some way and has gone back to being Jack Napier. He still has the memories of Joker, but he seems to have kind of cured himself in some way. And he becomes Gotham's White Knight, and he becomes this political figure. He has to win over the public, and they do a good job of slightly toning down his crimes in the past to make him a slightly more justified way of doing it. And they kind of question like if he actually ever murdered anyone. It's kind of part of the mystery of it as well. And they go into the kind of Jason Todd stuff a little bit as well. But it's really fun because it's set at a point where Batman has had this whole career, and it's got the whole Bat family are there with him. And there's little references to like, there's a part where he goes to the Batcave, and it's like all the Batmobiles that you'd expect.
Nice.
And
nice.
like they always get a reason to like get the Keaton one out and stuff like that. And they have they have a bit where all of the Batmobiles are together. Like he gives a load to some cops to like help out. And there's like the Tumblr in there and all that. And it's like, it's real, like, I wouldn't quite say full fan service, but it's definitely like hitting those like slight nostalgia moments there. And it's really fun. It kind of constantly retcons stuff because it's its own universe. And one of the things that's quite interesting it brings Harley Quinn into it quite early on. And she's kind of retired from being Harley Quinn. And she explains that partway through their career, she was in love with Jack Napier before he became Joker. So when he goes back, she's like, oh, this is the man that I really fell in love with. And she explains that during the Jason Todd incident, she was like, this is too much, I'm leaving. And just another random woman who looked like Harley Quinn just started hanging out with him. And because he was so deranged, he just went along with it. And she's like, why did you think I suddenly started dressing like a sexy cheerleader? It's like explaining the change in like costuming and acting and stuff like that. And then she becomes her own character who wants to get the Joker version back. So there's kind of two Harleys in it as well, which is a fun little twist to it. And it's all like Jack Napier, like trying to be like the hero of Gotham, but you're not sure if he's really doing it for the right reasons. He's kind of, you see him manipulating villains to kind of cause certain things to happen. And it's all about like the corruption of Gotham, and he like uncovers this like Batman Devastation Fund, which is all like being funneled from public services to like clean up after Batman, because he's kind of become a bit reckless, like how in like the Ben Affleck one, he's becoming a bit more violent. It's a really, really fun story, and I burned my way through it on digital, and I was just like, I've got to buy this. And then Sean Murphy's also done Batman Curse of the White Knight, which is a sequel to this, which was also very good. I think this is probably better. And he's also done Batman Beyond the White Knight, which is set 10 years after and has Terry McGinnis as Batman Beyond in it. So he's built his own little world.
Yeah.
And it's easily one of the best Batman things I've read in a long time.
Nice.
And I was going to talk about it last time, but now I've got the physical copy. I thought I'll throw it at Lewis and he can have a little look at it.
I might give it a read at some point.
Yeah, you're welcome to borrow it at some point. I mean, I haven't actually read that copy of it because I got it digital and then just ordered a copy. But yeah, and I got the deluxe edition, which is slightly bigger than all the other comics on my shelf, which is really annoying.
And it's hardback.
And it's hardback as well. But and it's got one of those covers that looks nice, but as soon as you start reading it, it looks like it's going to fall off or bend or break or whatever. It's got an okay cover underneath, but yeah, it's really decent. And I think he's still writing them. He's doing, I don't know what the next one's called, but he's done a couple of spin-offs set in the kind of, it's not really full Beyond Gotham because it's only 10 years later, but they kind of explain away how it got a bit more futuristic.
Right.
And it seems to be set in a universe where like the rest of the Justice League and stuff don't exist. So it's a little bit more of like Nolan verse than, or maybe even, any of the ones without the other lot in it. But it seems like these newer ones are maybe going to start tapping into that in its own slightly more grounded way. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I have got another thing I was going to talk about, but I can't be bothered to talk about it today. So we'll save that
for next week. Cool. So that brings us to the end of the episode 99.
Wow. Who would have thought?
Yeah, not me. Did you?
No, I don't think we get to 10. No, I was surprised at 50, to be honest. So.
Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed our 99th episode. If so, please give it 5 stars. As some of you have already done on whatever you're listening to.
Yeah.
It's been a great first 99 episodes. Like I said at the start, we will be doing something slightly different for episode 100 next week. Then we'll be back on the Oppenheimer heights the week after.
It'll be especially a treat for anyone who has listened to the last 50 episodes specifically. Yeah. If you haven't, this is your opportunity between now and next week to listen to whatever of those 50 episodes you haven't listened to. So from 51 up till now, do your homework and you might be able to score some points in our books there.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you haven't listened to them, it might be fun to come along, because when we did something like similar in the past, I didn't remember most of the first 50 episodes. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But if you've got thoughts on the Manhattan Project's comics, Oppenheimer stuff, or anything else we've done, you can get in contact with us, can't you, Sam?
Yes, you can. So if you want to send us an email, you can shoot that straight over to the projectpod@gmail.com. So you can send in some requests for future topics. You can send in some comments on Timecop, Skull Island, or The Witcher Season 3. If you like those middle episodes of The Witcher Season 3 and you think I may be completely wrong about that, please do fill up our inbox with your rants and your raves, and I'll maybe read them out next week, depending on how explicit they are. Expletive filled, I was going to say. Explicit implies something else a little bit, doesn't it?
It could be the same.
If you want to find us on social medias, you can click the link tree in the episode description. We are now on Threads. Haven't posted anything yet because I don't know what the hell to post on that.
I've posted a couple of things on my personal account. I even created an Instagram account to get a Threads account.
Oh, right, that's what that was about.
Yeah. I was sitting with David and we were like, let's get Threads. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I need to create an Instagram account first.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, I don't know why Lewis is getting into Instagram now.
But
Threads. Yeah, I mean, it may be that we post our episode announcements on there instead, because I've stopped posting them on Twitter, so I might as well post them somewhere else, especially if you can cross-post them like you can do with the other ones. I'll absolutely start doing that. But other than that, yeah, we'll be back next week. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. I will hear you next week.
And I'll see you at the Manhattan Project.
Bye.
Bye.